Okay, before I start the presentation, I'd like to share a short story with you. So I was having a conversation the other day upon the basis of careers and futures, as you would. And I asked a few friends of mine, what would you like to do in the future? What career would you like to go into? What aspirations do you have? And I got semi-cliche responses like, I'd like to go into engineering, I'd like to become a doctor, I'd like to go into dentistry. So that, yeah, I kind of appreciated that. I had some respect for that. And then I continued the conversation. I asked them, why do you want to do this? What drives you to that goal? Why do you aspire to become this? And they all gave me somewhat genuine responses as to why they want to do this. But I did get like, I don't know, and it's not really an aspiration. This decision was made as soon as I was born. So this got me thinking, why would you want to do something for the sake of it? Is it that, or have they done little research on the topic? Or is it simply because it just looks cool? Or do they feel that way because of a parental influence? Why is this? So this leads me to ask the very question, is your career a predetermined destiny? Or is it a handcrafted identity? Which means, in another sense, is your life and career set in stone to begin with? Or do you make it, or do you break it? Okay, as you can see on the slide, it's a representation of the life of an average citizen in this in our modern society. So you start off in kindergarten, you learn your basic communication skills, you work your way into elementary school where you're introduced, well otherwise known as primary school, where you're introduced into the basic core subjects. You follow through into middle and high school, otherwise known as secondary school, in where you're immersed in every other subject, and you pretty much get a brief idea about where your life is going. So from this point onwards, you could either go on to completing qualifications such as A-level, IB, vocational courses, etc., and either go into university or work your way towards a career. But the main point here is that the career is the ultimate endpoint. Now, how would one know which career to select exactly? What determines the career you choose, and how? What determines what you'll go on to do in the future? Of course, it'd be the university course you decide to major in. But this leads you to the question, why go to university at all? So as you can see from the graph, the orange bars represent the average income, and the green bars represent the percentage unemployment. As you move along from the left to the right, you get an increase in the level of education you have from just getting out of high school to master's degrees and so on. So as you can see, as the level of education increases, the average salary you get also increases. And furthermore, as you can see, the level of education increases, you can see the percentage of unemployment decreasing, which is obviously a great benefit to go to university, because this way you're avoiding unemployment, which is one of the biggest obstacles in the difficult society we live in, thanks to the recent economic downturn. So now looking at this graph, this shows the the net home income for different occupations. And towards the left side, it's generally increasing. So careers such as medicine, engineering, physical sciences, etc., will obviously give you the highest form of salary. So does this mean more people are likely to aim for careers in these areas? Well, yeah, of course. It's very logical to do so. But is it beneficial? So now looking at this graph, this is percentage unemployment in respect to time for different levels of education, represented by the different colors of the lines. As the levels of unemployment have been increasing in general, regardless of the level of education, because all the graphs share like a steep point towards the end of towards 2008, carrying on. There's no way to avoid this sort of increase. So, and the higher the education you have, the less percentage of unemployment there is. So the best decision to make would be, first of all, going to university in the first place, which would reduce the percentage, and second of all, possibly choosing the courses which have the highest income, which is probably the safest decision to make, provided that's actually what you're interested in, and provided that's actually what you want to do. So what if that's not what you want to do? That's perfectly fine, because the university provides a large variety of courses to actually go into. Perhaps your interest lies elsewhere. But there's one problem. How safe is the decision you make into going to probably something less safe? How is safety determined? First of all, as you can see from this table graph thingy here, the percentages for degrees such as architecture, philosophy, fine arts, and agriculture have the highest rates of unemployment for different levels of education. This causes problems, especially for those graduating straight out of college, as you can see from the lime-colored percentages at the top. Now here's the thing. This is how it usually works. Degrees that are closely related to the industry sector, in general, have low percentage of unemployment, and yet also lower earnings. However, other degrees trade job security for earnings, so in a way it's kind of conserved. At the same time, education, psychology, and social work majors have relatively low unemployment, but the earnings are low that it leads to like a small margin increase with the increase of experience. However, that can be considered more of a advantage than disadvantage. So, like, if you think about it, what if you end up going for that? What's wrong with it? If one were to get really paranoid, in a really paranoid mentality, various issues would arise, such as, especially if they find their interest to be lying in those more risky areas. You see, everyone has a passion. Everyone knows what they want to pursue in life. There's a basic reasoning behind everything in terms of passion. And the basic mentality behind this is usually saying, oh, for this very point in time, I'll just focus on something I'm not passionate about and something more safe. And then, as time goes on, I'll just accommodate a certain region, a certain sector of my life to the passion. So it's more, I'll do this now and leave my passion for later. But that usually never works out in the end, mainly because you get so immersed in what you're doing in that point in time and what you're not passionate about to actually find time in the end for what you are. Passion just becomes something you throw into like a somewhat maybe someday file. And that's how it usually ends up, because it usually takes an unusual degree of focus and determination to actually go through with it. So, where in your growing experience were you ever encouraged to actually pursue your passion and follow your dreams? Everything is more or less about knowing the right things to be able to actually make a good living in life. Why is it so discouraged to follow your passion? I mean, don't get me wrong, we all like the idea of making a good living, but why can't we enjoy what we do at the same time? Too often our passions is described as very, like, not practical. Why is practicality greater than passion? Don't you think, like, famous people, they all reached that status due to their passion? They followed their dreams. They got where they wanted to. Why is it somewhat discouraged by society for us? Why can't we follow them in the same footsteps? Okay, we spend a huge portion of our lives in work, in careers, but isn't it quite sad to know that throughout the whole of your working life, you've reached something quite unsatisfactory? Like, you're not happy with the outcome if you didn't actually follow your dream. Funny thing is, it's not actually that stopping you. It's basically it's fear. People fail to go ahead with their passion because of fear. They're afraid of failing in what they do. But I find it quite ironic because many of those successful in their passions have come across a lot of like boundaries in what they've been doing. They've come across so many failures that it's natural for them to actually carry on with what they're doing. Failure has become scared of them, the other way around, so they just keep continuing and continuing until they eventually reach it. So, if they've learned it the hard way, why can't we? What's stopping you in achieving your passion? If it's fear, is it your goal that's the problem, or is it just your mentality? Maybe you need to shift your focus elsewhere. You have the right to pursue your passion. Don't let anyone ever tell you like your passion is impractical, because practicality isn't always the way forward. So in the end, I just like to conclude. Passion should not be like forced into your maybe someday file. You should go straight ahead with it as soon as possible. You must always try to get yourself focused and motivated and set goals that are achievable to what you want to do and pursue them relentlessly. Life is too short to be able to do anything less than practical. Thank you for listening.